Okay, we have for you today another IB Business and Management presentation. I'm Mr. Burton, ibbusinessandmanagement.com, 4.4 price. Our second P in the marketing mix. We started with product. Next comes price, followed by promotion and place. Okay, price, all important in marketing, all important in the marketing mix. Price is going to determine the degree of value added by the business to bought-in components. It's going to cost the business a certain amount to make each product. The amount on top of that they charge the price will determine the amount of value added that the business has created. Price is going to affect the level of revenue and profit. Remember, profit is revenue minus costs. So the money from sales less the cost of production. And price is going to determine the demand for the product. The higher the price, the lower the demand. The lower the price, the more customers are going to come flocking and buy your product. The greater the demand. And as we are well aware of by now, hopefully, every marketing mix decision strategy is based on achieving a particular objective. So price is going to reflect the marketing objectives of the firm and help establish a psychological image and identity of a product. Are you going to be a premium product? Are you going to be a budget product? Right, various factors determine the pricing decision. Let's have a look at these. Cost of production. Everything else being equal, the more it costs to produce your product, the higher the price you're going to need to charge to make a profit. Competitive conditions in the market. Highly competitive markets, lots of similar products. We call those undifferentiated products. Lots of similar products. The lower your pricing power is going to be. Competitors' prices. If competitors have high prices, you can charge high prices. If competitors have low prices, you can't charge high prices unless you somehow distance yourself from those competitors with product differentiation. Depending on your marketing objectives, if your marketing objectives is to increase your customer base, increase the number of sales, then setting a high price or increasing your prices might be problematic. And price elasticity of demand. We'll come to this in much more detail further on. So I'll just leave this for now, but just to give you a brief overview. Price elasticity of demand. You put up your price, you lose customers. You put down your price, you gain customers. Price elasticity of demand just looks at the change in customers according to the change in price. So, slight increase in price, is it going to lose you a whole lot of customers? Or is it just going to lose you a few customers? You decrease your price. Is your revenue going to increase? Is it going to decrease, or is it going to stay the same? Again, like I said, we'll get back to this soon. And is it a new or existing product? Are consumers used to it? They're aware of it. They're getting a little bit bored of it now. Not so exciting. Not so unique anymore. Can't charge such a high price. So I think you can relate that to the product lifecycle actually. And if not, that's something else we'll look at as well. Right, there are a few pricing strategies that we need to be aware of, and they fall under three broad groups. And the first one that we're going to look at is cost-based pricing. So firms are going to have a look at their costs, producing and supplying each thing that they make, each product that they make, and then they're going to add a certain amount on top of the calculated cost to give them some profit, right? Sales minus costs give you profit. Look at your costs, add a percentage on top, add a dollar amount or even a cent amount on top, and you have got cost-based pricing. Right, the first of these cost-based pricing strategies that we're going to look at is cost plus, or markup pricing. Now this is the simplest one that we look at, and that is simply adding a fixed markup per profit to the unit price of the product. So if your product costs $3 to make, you add a $4 markup on it, you've suddenly got a markup of $4 per product. If your product costs $4 to make, you need a 50% profit on that, you mark up 50%. And here's a quick example. Cost to produce $40. We want a 50% markup on cost. 50% of 40 is $20. We need to sell our product at $60. The advantages of this, the main advantage is it's very easy to calculate, but we're just looking at cost. Pricing isn't related to the needs of our customer. And one of the prime examples of cost plus or markup based pricing strategy is floor pricing. Floor pricing for economy brands that survive on very low profit margins, maybe 2, 3, 5%, and they do this by selling in huge volumes. So 2, 3, 5% markup is not that bad when we're looking at selling millions of products each month. Okay, cost price 2. Marginal cost pricing, high level thing. If you're not high level, you can tune out now, fast forward. Marginal cost pricing. Marginal cost pricing is the cost of producing an extra unit of output. So basically, marginal cost pricing, you have covered your costs for producing 100 units of a good. You are looking at just the sole cost of producing that 101st good. We need with marginal cost pricing to be aware of direct or variable costs and indirect or fixed costs. We need to make a distinction between these two types of costs. Because marginal cost pricing, we leave indirect or fixed costs alone. Indirect costs, fixed costs, they need to be paid before we start production. Indirect or fixed costs are those costs that you have to front up regardless of how much you're producing. The prime examples are rent, mortgage repayments, salaries of your CEO. These are things that need to be paid no matter how much you're producing. If you're producing 0 units of output, your landlord is not concerned. He or she just wants to get their rent money. Whereas direct or variable costs, actually, these grow the more you produce. They shrink the less you produce. Let's have a look. We've got a shoe shop, a shoe factory, and they're looking at the cost per unit of shoes. So the cost to make a pair of shoes. Now shoes need leather, laces, whatever. They need people to make it. So each shoe has a $15 cost of materials and $20 in wages directly related to making that next pair of shoes. Indirect costs, things like rent, mortgage payments, salary of the CEO, they're important too, but for marginal cost pricing, we ignore them and just focus on the direct or variable cost. The CEO's salary, the rent's already been paid, needs to be paid regardless of whether you make this extra pair of shoe or not. So we're just looking at the direct or variable cost. Materials 15, direct labour 20, those are our only direct costs. That's what we need to start looking at for marginal cost pricing. With marginal cost pricing, we need to be selling that 101st pair of shoes for at least $35. for at least $35, covering our direct or variable costs. Marginal cost pricing tends to be your lowest cost pricing, so it's a good way. You've already covered all your fixed costs, your CEO's been paid, the landlord's happy, she's been paid. Now you're looking perhaps as a marketing objective to expand your sales in the market, gain customers, gain customer share. A great way to do it, marginal cost pricing. You can sell these additional products at a low price and not lose any money. Give customers a taste of your product. Now the downside, not all customers can be offered a special deal that just cover marginal costs. Somewhere along the line, those indirect or fixed costs, the landlord and the CEO has to be paid. Contribution cost pricing, again high level. Things start to get a little bit more complicated now. Actually, I shouldn't say things get a little bit more complicated now, because if you understand variable cost pricing, contribution cost pricing is a give me. All we're doing is having a look at our variable costs and then adding a markup, or what we call a contribution, on top of it. So variable cost plus an additional amount of money that we're going to charge to make a contribution towards paying our fixed cost and to make a contribution towards making a profit. So those variable costs of production plus an additional amount. So here we are, businesses will calculate a unit variable cost. So a unit variable cost per product, and then add an extra amount to contribute to their fixed cost or to contribute to making a profit. Now if enough units are sold, the total contribution is going to cover fixed costs, and then we will start to be able to return a profit. Now it's commonly used by businesses that produce a range of products, and across a range of products where it's impossible to divide the fixed cost. So for example, if a factory is devoted to making 3 goods, how do we know how much to each good needs to contribute to the fixed cost and towards making a profit? Widely used by businesses that want to attract new orders from important customers. Contribution cost pricing, we can tend to get our pricing relatively low, attract new customers. And also if we want to sell off stock to make way for new inventories, again, contribution cost pricing, we can price low, sell more, sell off our old stock, make room for new inventories, make way for our new products. Now here's an example. I'll run you through it. We've got a single product business and the cost of making that product is $4. The variable cost of making that product is $4. There are annual fixed costs, sometimes we call them overheads, so annual fixed costs, e.g. the rent, CEO salary, $80,000. Now the firm decides on a contribution of $2 per unit sold. So they know the variable cost of $4 and they want $2 for each product on top of that $4. Therefore they're going to make the selling price $6. The business sells 50,000 units in 1 year. The total contribution, remember the contribution is $2 to fixed costs, become 50,000 times $2. That gives us 100,000. And because our fixed costs are 80,000, our variable costs are all covered. We've got that contribution on top of the variable costs. We have now got a profit of $20,000 being made. How much would they have to sell to break even? I.e. not make a profit, not lose any money, but just come out breaking even. 40,000. Right, a net 40,000